This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No.
Y'all,
Just stop.
get real.
Welcome to DBL. Good to see you all here today. We are so thankful you're joining us today watching from your screens. Nearly 2 decades ago, 18-year-old Natalee Holloway disappeared while on a high school graduation trip in Aruba. Many of you might remember this. She was last seen leaving a bar with a group of boys, including a Dutch man named Joran van der Sloot. But what really happened to Natalee remained a mystery until now. Today, van der Sloot finally admitted that he indeed bludgeoned the teen to death, and he apologized to the Holloway family. The judge said the family will not be able to find the teenager's remains, but did not expand on that. Van der Sloot was sentenced to 20 years for specifically extortion and wire fraud after allegedly attempting to sell Natalee's mother, Beth Holloway, information about the location of her daughter's body back in 2010. She even paid him $25,000 to learn the location, which turned out to be a lie. Following van der Sloot's plea, Beth, the mother, said, "Your lies, your manipulation, your taunting have caused us pain, and the grief extends deep into my soul. Now in the process, you have finally admitted that you have, in fact, murdered her." I first just want to get your first reactions, because I was like, oh my God, this case, oh, he confessed. There's closure. Did anyone feel closure or was surprised by this, that he confessed?
Oh, please.
Well, I think of Beth Holloway much like I think of any parent who has lost a child, especially in this way. Just the idea of there not being closure to a very traumatic loss. I mean, it's unnatural, but in terms of the surprise element, I do remember, obviously we all remember when this case first unfolded. We remember when the extortion attempt was made. There were a lot of conversations. Would you even try to give this person money? And a lot of people felt very passionately in a lot of different directions.
Right.
No, I would never give this monster money.
Of course I would, right.
Yeah, like if I would do anything to know what happened to my child. And for it to end in this way, I think you just have to think justice in some way has been served because he is going to jail, but he also was in prison because he killed another woman who would never have been in that situation had it not been for the injustice to begin with. And that's what I always think about when justice isn't served correctly.
That's a great point. I want to read you guys his apology. He says, "I would like to take this chance to apologize to the Holloway family, to apologize to my own family. I hope this statement brings some kind of closure to everyone involved, but I'm no longer the person I was back then." He's now a born-again Christian. What do you think about that, Jeff?
I don't know. This is I know America's obsessed, and maybe the whole world, with like these murder cases and bringing it to light and what happened to her body, and now he's back on our televisions. Everyone knows that face. Everyone knows Natalee Holloway's face, and it's decades old, right? Now we're going to have a new Netflix special. What's going on now? Where did the body go? Maybe an interview from prison, wanting to find out more information.
We'll talk to the woman that marries him in jail.
Yeah.
We'll talk to her, Jeff.
Right.
Don't forget that.
Meanwhile,
Go ahead.
the pain still continues. He's extorting money from the very family that he killed his daughter. I don't know. I understand. Is he in jail for murder or just the extortion part?
He's been charged with the extortion and wire fraud for the mother.
But he murdered 2 people.
Right,
but
and
not
he has to go back to Peru because he killed another woman back in there.
Yeah,
so he has to finish that sentence first.
Yes, he's doing transcontinental murder.
Correct.
Cases.
Yeah, I'm more for, I am for the death penalty, you know what I mean? Especially in cases where it's locked in, not injustice, not anything like that. Stick to what I'm saying here. I'm talking about cases where the facts. I'm up for the death penalty because I don't want to hear it. I don't want people extorted. I don't believe he's born again. I believe evil is evil, and when you're that evil, there's no coming back from that.
A lot of people agree with you. Al, I want to get your take on this. The judge said, "I've considered your confession to the brutal murder of Natalee Holloway. You have brutally murdered in separate incidences years apart 2 beautiful women who refused your sexual advances." A little clue now into the motive here. What did you think of what the judge said and this your take on the whole thing?
I mean, I'm sure if we look back into his past, we could find things even even before Natalee Holloway that we stopped on. A lot of times when we do find these serial killers, which is what I consider him to be, you know, they've had run-ins with the law that, you know, that were kind of, they kind of let them go after 90 days. And this is what happens, like you said, Erica, when justice is not served. But what he's running into now is head-on into America's obsession with murder porn. So he is going to be elevated because his social media footprint is going to definitely be elevated. There will be podcasts about him. There will be ad spots in between how they talk about how he murdered the women. There'll be advertisements for socks and underwear. So as a society that has built this infrastructure for a real life monster to prosper, to become famous, he will have more women than anybody in this studio combined. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that. So just there is some blood on our hands as well because we consume it, because we love it.
Okay, let me ask you this. Why did this case go so viral in a way, which sounds so silly to say, but is it the blonde hair, blue-eyed girl, the white girl that went missing, which we always sort of need to discuss here? We need to bring that up. And secondly, sometimes true crime people can solve cases. And I just have to push back a little bit on sometimes true crime, because it's in everybody's way, they can help become sleuths, although I can see the prospering is annoying. But tell me why you think this case went so big.
You tell me.
I think it's because she's a white, blonde hair, blue-eyed person. And I think we took her, like the Elizabeth Smarts and all those, and God forbid, I feel bad for all these people. I want to make that super, super clear. There, again, as you say, a hierarchy of victims, Erica, and you have to be careful with this. However, it's odd that no person of color like this has sort of gone viral in that way, and I just think we should admit to that.
Well, yeah, I absolutely agree. I want to be very clear. I don't have a hierarchy on victims.
And then I want to say I don't either.
My point in definitely talking about victims who aren't normally amplified in this way is that there should never be a hierarchy on victims. I always talk about the first time I saw a woman who looked like me be elevated because she was missing, and her name was Naila Franklin.
I knew her sister.
In Chicago, right?
Is
that right?
I was
did
neighbors.
stand up with her sister for my whole career.
Yeah, a beautiful family. I was neighbors with her murderer.
Whoa.
And that was something where it took me back because I was like, oh my gosh, like, who is this woman? Because you never saw that before.
Right.
Now, what was happening in 2005, and I think is very important to put context to, is look at pop culture. That was Britney. That was the rise of the pop stars that
Jessica
Natalee
Simpson.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so everyone was looking at her like, you know, she could be, and everyone said the girl next door. Everyone wanted everyone to feel like they knew her. And also just the idea of she went on a class trip. She was 18 years old. And this was something that was super common. Who didn't have like a class trip where a bunch of the seniors graduated and then went off to Mexico
or whatever,
Aruba or whatever.
Erica, and that's why I'm so glad you're saying what you're saying, because obviously there's no hierarchy. Like, we're human beings, you know, in terms of like who's more elevated in the public eyes. But there is, you know, the times that we hear about these people, it was on shows like Dr. Phil. And who's the audience for that? It's mostly older white women that would have nieces that look like Natalee Holloway. And, you know, so you have to understand that when you're shows like City Confidential, these shows were on for years, and really the premise of them is, yes, we know people in the hood kill each other, but it's always a dentist killed his wife, a famous accountant,
the doctor,
because there is something about human beings where we're like, why would a doctor that's got a Rolls Royce kill his wife? There's some intrigue in that, Jeff, and I think that's part of it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm to blame as well. You know, when you say blood on your hands, I'm in part some way. I watched 2020. I watched those everything you're talking about.
Yeah,
are you talking about the case in Rosemont? Is that remember that case in Rosemont, Illinois, where the woman went missing in the hotel and they had the videos?
Oh no, but that was
another interesting one.
That was closer. That one wasn't as that was more recent.
That was more recent, right? That was a totally different case.
That's
but I'm up to date on all. That was a crazy case too. But I'm part of the problem too. That's why if you, again, this is just my opinion. If you take out people like this man, like evil. We don't hear anymore from them. They don't get letters in prison. They don't get money. They don't get love letters. They don't have conjugal visits. It's over.
Yeah.
You ended up someone else's life, in this case 2 people, maybe more. Your life should be over as well.
Agree, disagree, let us know on the YouTube chat. Good talk with everyone coming up on DBL. More bombshells from Britney Spears' new memoir. Was Justin Timberlake really the one to cheat after Britney took the blame? And our interview with Real Housewives of Atlanta star Porsche Williams. She's sharing her secrets to getting that skin that glows.
Yeah, so we're kind of piecing together this case in Rosemont that Jeff was referring to. So it was a young woman, I believe it was New Year's Eve. She was at a hotel celebrating with friends, and there's video surveillance of her by herself going through the hallways and stuff. She ends up in the kitchen in a freezer.
When she was walking around.
And the mother was saying that she wasn't, and all of her friends, I believe too, were saying she wasn't one to do like illicit drugs and stuff. So it was very strange that she would be so disoriented. But then there was no footage of anyone else with her. So Jeff was referring to that case. The case of Naila Franklin happened, I want to say like 2005, 5 or 6 or something like that. She was a young woman. She was a pharmaceutical sales rep for Eli Lilly, and they put up a substantial reward for anyone who could lead to her being missing at that point. She was a missing person, and essentially her boyfriend, who was my neighbor, had killed her and put her remains in Calumet City, which was about 30 minutes away from where we lived. And he left her unclothed. They didn't find her body for over a week. And then they finally found him because of the Target a block away from our home, where they said he claimed to be, but really his phone, this was very early when we learned about pinging on your cell phone. His cell phone pinged in Calumet City, and that's how they tied him to the case. But it's very recent that he was actually convicted because he kept like representing himself and then decided to get a lawyer. It was like a whole mess.
Dude.
It's vodka. Welcome back to DBL. We're getting more details about Britney Spears' upcoming memoir. The Woman in Me comes out next week, but it's already shot to the #1 spot on Amazon. She claims in the book that she had an abortion after getting pregnant with Justin Timberlake. In the book, though, she also says that Justin cheated on her with an unnamed celebrity. This was after it was super widely believed that Britney cheated on him. Remember, Cry Me a River? Meantime, Britney posted another video dancing with knives she again claims are fake. The sound does not sound fake to me at all. If we listen and hear that, that's not great.
Is that the old video though, or is
we don't know? She sometimes, I follow her a lot, and she sometimes
the same thing?
She posts old videos new a lot of the time. So timelines are a little bit sketchy when it comes to Britney because you're never quite clear if she's posting an old video. She does that a lot.
But when it comes to her memoir, it's crystal clear.
It's a good point. It's a good point. What do you guys think? Memoir? Thoughts?
Jeff. Well,
I thought that Justin cheated on her. Okay, I was for sure thinking about that. And Cry Me a River had a look-alike Britney in it, and he was all like, "You're the worst, Cry Me a River."
But didn't that guy Wade Robinson, who I guess now I have to say allegedly, fess up to that they had a relationship because he was a backup dancer?
I don't know. I didn't get deep into that. I just always thought the breakup between Britney and Justin was Britney's fault, and I always thought that was true.
Please.
Does anyone else find it strange, and not that there's like an age or maybe a statute of limitations on cheating, although I guess there kind of needs to be.
Not in the public eye.
Well, I'm just talking about like
George Washington.
These are like 18, 19, 20 years old.
Like, that's what I was thinking.
What, I feel weird, even though I was around that same age at that talking about that now. Like, what were we doing at 18,
like who?
19,
Like who's casting stones?
20
here?
years old. But I do remember that was kind of when Britney went from like the sweet girl next door to a very even more. She was always sexualized, but this is when she was leaning into that
totally agree.
more, which made me feel like the sentiment was always that she was like the one that was in the wrong, and Justin Timberlake had this like, you know, more squeaky clean image.
I agree with you. That's what I thought. That's what I thought happened. I also want to say there's a new, people are looking at stuff. So her video Every Time, I don't know if you guys know that song. She at one point, it's a very slow ballad. She walks by and she, you know, there's a lot of different things in here. But she walks by, and at the end of the video, she walks by a woman who's giving birth. And she cries, and it's a scene she's a part, that wasn't it, but she's a different and set apart from that clip. And now people are seeing that with new eyes, thinking perhaps that comes from some kind of the abortion issue, and that is her. She was sneaking that in as trying to tell her story in that music video.
I mean, at that time in her career, especially when you think about how much power your manager had. Obviously, we've seen the whole Scooter Braun thing play out, but just how much power managers had over huge stars. There was no way Britney was having a baby at that time when she was.
Even though she says in the memoir, allegedly, she wanted to religiously.
No, I'm assuming that
right,
she did.
Right.
I'm saying that the people that had their hands on her and then were puppeteering her were not going to allow her at the height of her sexual fame and heights to become a mother. That wasn't coming until we got into the whole teen mom thing years later on MTV. What we're talking about with Britney and Justin is young people that were put in almost an impossible situation to be that famous, to have access to anything you want. Erica, I could barely handle it at 35, and I didn't have access to much, and you still can't. I mean, I don't think people understand that everything you've ever dreamed of is coming at you every second. And to sit here and judge these 18-year-olds with 2023 lenses, I don't think it's fair to them. I think it's time to move forward. But that's the thing with the memoir. We have to look back.
Yeah. I guess it's hard for me to now, you're absolutely right, seeing the memoir and seeing where she is now, it's hard to conflate it.
Have you seen how people act at an open bar? When it's like their holiday party, how drunk they get. Imagine that's your life every second. You can't handle it for 4 hours on December 28th. So, I mean, just think about how hard it is.
Why are we having a late Christmas party?
It's a holiday party, you know, you gotta slip
it in somewhere.
Right. I'm not going. Christmas is over. You guys go.
I do want a Christmas party or a Hanukkah party this year.
Those are canceled.
All right, fine. Coming up on DBL, we're talking with former Real Housewives of Atlanta star Porsche Williams. She's sharing her top tips for glowing skin.
Creepy, crawly, itchy, head lice. The CDC says 6 to 12 million infestations happen every year, mostly in elementary school kids. 5 on Your Side viewer Jessica from Chesterfield asked the Verify team, do kids with head lice have to be sent home from school? Jessica, let's verify. Our sources, the CDC, the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, the Illinois State Board of Education, and the Department of Public Health, and the National Association of School Nurses. All of our sources say head lice can be a nuisance, but they have not been shown to spread disease, and that personal hygiene or cleanliness in the home or school has nothing to do with getting head lice. For the purposes of this Verify, we are talking about live lice, not the eggs. Live lice can't jump or fly, only crawl to their next host, using their specialized claws to grasp human hair. The education departments in the state of Illinois and Missouri and the CDC all agree students diagnosed with live head lice do not need to be sent home early from school. They should go home at the end of the day and return to class after treatment has begun. The National Association of School Nurses argues families are overcorrecting when it comes to treatment, and that no live lice policies in schools cause unnecessary school absences for students and loss of parent work days and family wages. We can verify students diagnosed with live head lice do not have to be sent home early from school. The CDC and state of Missouri and Illinois recommend the child go home at the end of the day and return to school after their first treatment.
Welcome back. Reality star Porsche Williams has served some unforgettable moments on TV. And earlier, she shared her secrets to saying goodbye, Ashy. So take a look.
Hello, Porsche. Welcome to DBL.
Yes.
Hey,
y'all clapping. How y'all doing?
We are wonderful now that you're here. We're so happy to have you, sis. So let's get into it, because as a woman of color, we know what our skin means to us. Share with us your personal experience with skincare.
Well, my personal experience with skincare is that it's ever-changing, okay? It changes by the seasons. And as the seasons are changing now, it's becoming more and more dry, which is when we get that ashy skin. Hence the "by ashy" comments start coming out. Yeah, you know, the ashiness of our skin just means that we need a little more TLC. It just needs to be hydrated more. It needs to be treated with a better product that is going to be formulated for us. And that is why I'm now working with Nivea, because they have done just that with their new Melanin Beauty product that they have right here that I've been using.
Ooh. That is beautiful. I'll tell you this. I live my life in rap lyrics. My co-host Jeff.
I didn't know if it was appropriate for me to say.
Honestly, and it's Biggie when he said he went from ashy to classy.
Yep, that's exactly what was in my head.
That's what I thought about.
Right.
It's so important.
Exactly.
It's so important. So, you know, being ashy is something.
It is important.
Yeah, it's something we all would like to say goodbye to. So I have to ask you, have you ever been caught being ashy? Because I know I have. Like right here, right, problem areas.
Why do I feel like you're pointing at your elbow or your knees? Because that's normally the problem spot. Elbow, knees, and nose. Feet, honey, they will betray you every single time. And yes, I have been ashy before, but I'm known to call it out on other people, hence the "by ashy" comment. But for me, I just feel like when it comes to skincare, you have to be consistent. You really, really do. And people of color, we have to be more consistent during the drier months, like I said. And this particular product, it has argan oil in it, which is great for hydrating your skin. It also has Q10 in it as well, which is great for firming your skin. So it has two of the main things that I'm always concerned about when it comes to my body care.
I love a good argan oil. When it comes to beauty, though, what do you plan to teach your daughter, PJ, about skincare? Because it's all important to pass that down.
First of all, I would love her to understand that her skin is her skin, okay?
Nice.
You have your own type of skin. Mine is dry, hers happens to be dry, but love the skin you're in and find a product that is good for you. You know, a lot of times when you compare yourself to other people, that's when you have issues, because then you're talking to someone and they're telling you about a product that may not be formulated for you. And so for my daughter, I just want her to love the skin she in, knows that she's beautiful, and just be the best that she can be.
Thank you so much for joining us, Porsche. DBL Nation, I'm going to say this. Don't make fun of me right now. Say bye to being ashy. Visit NiveaUSA.com.
That's right.
I can do it. I can do it. Also follow Porsche on Instagram at Porsche For Real. Thank you so much, Miss Williams. I did really well. Thank you. You did really well. We can't wait to buy some Nivea. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
A viral post with nearly 2 million views claims Hamas has training camps in Mexico, including one just across the border from Texas. But is there any evidence that these camps exist? Let's verify. Our sources are the U.S. Department of State, the National Counterterrorism Center, and Javed Ali, a counterterrorism associate professor at the University of Michigan. Hamas was created in 1987 with the goal of creating a Palestinian state in Israel's place. The National Counterterrorism Center, which tracks Hamas, says the militant group primarily operates in Gaza and has a presence in the West Bank, refugee camps in Lebanon, and key regional capitals in the Middle East, not Mexico. Ali tells Verify in 35 years, Hamas has never conducted an attack outside of Israel, and there's no reason to think it's expanded beyond the Middle East. In 2021, the State Department compiled a report on terrorism in Mexico, which concluded there was no credible evidence indicating international terrorist groups established bases in Mexico. So, no, there is no evidence of Hamas training camps in Mexico. With your Verify along the U.S.-Mexico border in San Diego, I'm Brandon Lewis.
House has now gone 2 weeks without a speaker. It's a critical absence with so much important legislation in limbo, like requested aid for Israel and Ukraine and a plan to avert a government shutdown. But is this the longest we've ever gone without a speaker? To verify, we checked with the Congressional Research Office and the Office of the Historian of the House of Representatives. According to our sources, while this is the second contentious speaker vote this year, division like this hasn't existed for a century. Before 2023, the House went exactly 100 years without needing more than one round of voting. But it was more common before the Civil War. And in 1855, the House went 2 months without a speaker. With slavery and immigration as the divisive issues of the day, they voted 133 times before electing Nathaniel Banks. So we can verify there have been longer vacancies in the Speaker's office. Hopefully they figure things out a little faster this time.
Welcome back. Cooler fall weather is upon us, and before we know it, winter weather will be too. That's how seasons work. Prepare your car for it with these tips. That's today's Auto Alert, sponsored by Ox Car Care. First up, fluids like oil, power steering, and brake fluids thicken when temperatures cool, so it's a must to change them before winter. Next, cold weather puts a strain on the car battery, so have your battery and charging system tested. Lastly, having tires in good condition is vital for the winter. Make sure they're properly aligned and check the tread for signs of wear. Ox Car Care is dedicated to providing you with an amazing auto protection plan experience that works with your budget. If you're looking for better car care, give them a call at 1-800-946-5040. Now, before we go, a woman who says her date walked out on her after she ate, no joke, 48 oysters is dividing the internet. In a video that has now gone viral, the woman is seen slurping 4 platters of a dozen oysters. She then orders more food, potatoes, crab cakes, but when the bill comes, the date is nowhere to be found. And in a text, he claimed he offered to take her out for drinks, but then she ordered all that food, and some people said she was in the wrong for leaving only an $11 tip. Bye!
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real. No.
Nope.